Off the coast of a tiny island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there is a city that should not exist. Nearly 100 islands rise out of a shallow lagoon, and not one of them is natural. Every single one was built by hand, on top of a living coral reef, laced together by canals of seawater. The walls are made of gigantic black stones, stacked like logs, some weighing as much as 50 tons. No one wrote down how it was done. No one recorded who carried the stones. And when you ask how a people with no metal tools, no wheels, and no machines lifted 50-ton pillars out of the sea and stacked them 25 feet high, the honest answer, even now, is that we don't fully know. This is Nan Madol, a city built on the ocean. The island is called Pohnpei in Micronesia, a speck of jungle and volcanic rock thousands of miles from any continent. Just off its shore, on the reef flat, sit the ruins. More than 90 artificial islets spread across nearly 200 acres, divided by a grid of tidal canals. People call it the Venice of the Pacific, because here the streets are made of water, and you moved through the city by canoe. This was the capital of the Saudeleur dynasty, the first rulers to unite the whole island under a single throne. From roughly the 12th century, they turned this reef into the political and religious heart of their kingdom. The exact dates are still argued over. The islets themselves may go back 1,000 years or more, while the great stone walls we see today were raised later. But the ambition is not in doubt. And the material is the strangest part. The black stones are columns of basalt, volcanic rock that cools into natural six-sided pillars. They came from a quarry on the far side of the island, miles away, across mountains and open water. Somehow, every one of them was brought here. We found inside the walls, Nan Madol was a city of strict order. The Saudeleur ruler sat at the very top, and everything, the land, the food, even the people, belonged to him. Below him came priests and nobles, each family assigned its own islet. The grander the island, the higher your rank. Commoners served and paddled and carried. There were islets for the living and islets for the dead. The most famous, Nan Madol, was a royal tomb, ringed by basalt walls 25 feet high, a fortress for the bones of chiefs. On other islets, priests fed sacred eels kept in stone pools, offering them the choicest food as living gods. But here is the detail that defines the whole place. Nan Madol grew nothing. It had no soil for crops and not a single spring of fresh water. Every basket of taro, every fish, every drop of drinking water had to be carried in by canoe from the main island every single day. It was a city of stone and ritual that could not feed itself for even a day on its own. It survived entirely on the labor of everyone else. Which brings us to the question no one has answered. How was it built? The basalt was quarried on the opposite side of Pohnpei. Each column had to be split from the cliff, moved down to the coast, floated across miles of lagoon, dragged onto the reef, and then lifted. Some of these stones weigh 5, 10, 50 tons, and stacked into walls 2 stories high. All of it by people with no metal, no pulleys, no draft animals, and no written plans. Archaeologists have tried to reconstruct it. Rafts, ramps, ropes of woven fiber, sheer manpower. It's plausible, but no one has ever fully demonstrated how they moved and raised the largest columns. And the scale of the labor is staggering for a small island population. To be clear, there is no real mystery about who built it. This was a documented Pacific dynasty, not a myth, and not something stranger. The mystery is purely how. The islanders themselves gave an answer long ago. They said two sorcerer brothers raised the stones by magic, flying them through the air with the help of a great dragon. It's a legend, but it tells you something true. Even to the people who lived beside it, Nan Madol looked impossible. And like the lost bronze kingdom of Sanxingdui on the other side of the ocean, this civilization left no writing at all, nothing to explain itself, only the stones. A city that produces nothing and consumes everything has one fatal weakness. It depends completely on the loyalty of those who feed it. And loyalty runs out. The Saudeleur grew harsher and more demanding over the generations, pressing the island for ever more tribute. Then, according to Pohnpeian tradition, a warrior named Isokalekal arrived from across the sea, rallied the people, and overthrew the last Saudeleur ruler. The single throne shattered. The island broke into separate chiefdoms. And Nan Madol, the great stone capital, simply lost its reason to exist. Once the deliveries stopped, there was nothing there. No food, no water, no fields, only walls. The nobles left. The canals began to silt. The jungle reached in from one side, the sea from the other. The city that had been carried into being, stone by stone, was left to sink back into the lagoon that made it. Nan Madol still stands. The black walls still rise straight out of the turquoise water, exactly where they were placed 8 centuries ago, slowly being swallowed by mangroves and the rising sea. You can go there. You can put your hand on a 50-ton stone that no crane lifted and no record explains. They left us a city with no doors into its own history. No writing, no names, no blueprint. Just the impossible weight of the stones, and the question that comes with them. How? More lost cities are waiting. Subscribe and we'll keep finding them.